Well, the Tigers do get a win. There's a couple of injuries along the way that we'll have to keep an eye on. But a win is a win. Big win to kick off a series in Texas. Let's talk about it all today on Locked On Tigers.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All righty. Well, the Detroit Tigers win on Monday night. Almost forgot what day it was there. 7-2 over the Texas Rangers in Arlington. Big win. Very, very nice. I mean, like, this is one of those games where it's something that when you watch it, you understand that it's not sustainable in the sense that, like, the Tigers just aren't in a place where they're going to hit that many home runs and get on the positive side of, like, the home run differential on a game-to-game basis, I guess I'll say. But seeing the power stroke come through for this team was really, really nice to see. Several really nice performances that we'll talk about for sure. Offensively, a lot more than just the power stroke, but we talk about it all the time. This team went 1 for 6 with runners in scoring position, but power, it trumps all. And so they had a couple of home runs. And so it ended up not mattering that they kind of squandered some opportunities throughout the game and were still able to put up 7 runs. And that's why we bring up that kind of number and why we talk about the importance of power in today's game as well. So yeah, nice win. Also, I mean, just winning game 1 of a 4-game set is really, really important. There's some updates as far as the pitching matchups go throughout this series that we will talk about at the very end of the show. You can see it on the little itinerary here if you're watching on YouTube. So yeah, nice win. Nice, solid win. Let's start off the show with talking about Colt Keith. That thing on the itinerary there is a little clickbaity, and for that I apologize, but I hate when my rows here become 2 rows. I want all the bullet points to be 1 row, and so that's the only way I could fit it all into one. Colt Keith was called up to AAA Toledo. He has been in Erie all season. It's so convenient that all of these minor league roster moves and transactions are happening because we just did a minor league update literally on Friday. So we talked about how good of a season Colt Keith is having. He's crushing everybody, righties, lefties, starters, relievers, like young pitchers, old, like veterans, like whatever, it doesn't matter. And so he was called up, I should say, to AAA. And we kind of talked about earlier in the year, not even like really long time ago, like a few weeks ago, we had mentioned how it was rather likely that he was going to play out the first half of the AA season. If you're not aware how the AA season works and how it's very strange because there's a lot of calling up and sending down and whatever. You can clinch a playoff berth if you are in the playoff picture at the halfway mark of the AA season, and then you can clinch it again in the second half of the year. So Erie has already clinched a playoff berth, and so it makes sense that outside of Colt Keith, a lot of roster moves have happened in Erie immediately following them clinching a playoff berth. So that kind of made sense. We kind of warned people of that on this show about a month ago, I want to say, kind of talking a little bit more in depth about that and how that was kind of likely. So nice to see, though. And I'm very, very excited. The biggest thing for Keith now in AAA, and I said this, I want to say on Friday's episode, maybe not, but the biggest thing is not necessarily a giant leap in talent. It's just the pitchers that he's facing will now be more, not like just, oh, they're more MLB ready because they're in AAA and not AA. AAA is full of 40-man roster players that are not on major league rosters, right? So you're getting, excuse me, you're getting a lot of guys in AAA on the pitching side of things that are, have had like 2, 3, 4 year MLB careers. Excuse me. And so you're kind of getting the like bubbling over of the major league level. So you're not just getting like, oh, these are like top prospects in organizations like in AA. You're actually getting like major league arms that like are one injury at the major league level away from being on a major league roster. And so that's kind of the biggest adjustment. And the most thing I'm most excited for to see Colt Keith do is just see how he fares against like actual, like, hey, he's going to face a lot of dudes that have MLB experience. Just a quick rundown of all the transactions that happened out of Erie, whether they're sending people down, sending people to Toledo, etc. We'll do that really, really quickly because there was a boatload. Okay, so Colt Keith obviously transferred from Erie to Toledo. Sean Gunther transferred from Erie to Toledo. Had an injury. Since the injury has been phenomenal. Someone to keep an eye on in Toledo. I think there's a non-zero chance that he is pitching in an Old English D out of the bullpen at some point. Lane Henderson transferred from AAA to Toledo. Billy Lesher transferred from Toledo to Erie. Sorry, Lane Henderson also Toledo to Erie. Mario Feliciano from Lakeland to Erie. Tyler Madison, West Michigan to Erie. Tyler Madison, friend of the program. We interviewed him last summer, I want to say, has been pretty solid out of the bullpen ever since they kind of made him more of a reliever type. Chavez Fernander, Erie to West Michigan, and Michael Benlian, Erie to West Michigan. Okay, so it's a quick rundown of all of, I just want to keep you all in the loop. I know a lot of those names, especially the more depth names on there, don't mean a whole lot to a ton of people, but I just want everyone to know everything. Okay, I want to be as informative as possible. So yeah, and then the only other major roster move that happened in the organization was the official announcement that Tyler Nevin was, in fact, the replacement, I guess will be the word, for Nick Maton at the major league level. Yeah. So, and they cited, the fact that the Tigers are going to be facing a lot of lefties going forward, and that Tyler Nevin is going to be a better matchup than some of the other choices they were mulling. Yeah, I mean, like Parker Meadows admittedly doesn't hit lefties as well, but I don't know, unless you're going to have it be Tyler Nevin for like this week, and then you're just going to make another roster move. I still disagree with it, but I've already voiced my frustrations there. Let's get into this ball game. Big time power surge, as we talked about. So in this ball game, obviously Andy Ibanez hits the 3-run homer, which was huge. I mean, is there anything cooler in sports than revenge games? I know that the Tigers have had a lot happen to them lately, like Willie Castro. We didn't even really have time to talk about it yesterday. Willie Castro had like 1 billion hits over the weekend, which is like just so ridiculous. Like even after all those hits, I think his OPS is still well below league average. Like his OPS was in the 600s going into that series. I'm relatively sure. It's just it's just how it is. But when they are Tigers happening to their former teams, or just like you're a third party watching and you're not involved, like that's one of the beautiful things, one of the many, many beautiful things just about sports in general is those kind of revenge game type of things. And I love watching them. I absolutely, again, not against the Tigers, but I love watching them just in any capacity in any sport. I think they're so cool. So happy for Andy Ibanez to be able to hit a 3-run homer against his former employer. That's got to be a fantastic feeling for him. Okay, let's get into the rest of the offense. There are some individual performances outside of Andy Ibanez, and then Jake Rogers obviously was the other home run as well. But I want to talk about Jake Rogers, and then I want to talk about specifically one more person, but we'll kind of jump around a little bit throughout the offense. Also, I realized somebody left a comment about it, which I appreciate. But I realized listening back to yesterday that my levels were absolutely whack. If you haven't noticed, I have a different mic. I like holding my mic. I speak with my hands, and I like being able to the mic's going to be at the same place no matter where my head moves. But that mic completely hit the end of its road. And so we had to go back to the old one that I used to use, which is a fantastic, high quality, great mic. But sometimes I move my head around when I talk, and if I get too close, the levels can be weird. So I'm trying to work on it. I apologize. I just want to throw that out there, be completely transparent with y'all. It'll probably take me a few episodes to adjust. I'm going to mess with the levels a little bit, the volume a little bit, and hopefully within just a couple of days of a grace period, I can get kind of the hang of everything again. But yeah, that is why there might be some really loud or really quiet moments. So I greatly apologize. Just an adjustment period. Let's get into the rest of the offense. Okay. But first, I got to tell y'all about our friends over at eBay Motors. eBay Motors is the best. And the reason why is because they are very similar to a championship team. For a championship team, it's all about making sure every player is the perfect fit. And it's the same when it comes to your vehicle. Every part needs to fit just right. So the next time you need parts and accessories, head to eBay Motors. With eBay Guaranteed Fit, you can be sure every part you need fits just right the first time around. Just add your ride to the My Garage and look for the green check to know if a part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop at eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices at ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. All right, everybody, welcome back to segment 2 here of Locked On Tigers. I appreciate y'all for tuning in, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that truly do make us their first listen every day. We'll be back tomorrow recapping game 2 of this Ranger series. And if you have the SiriusXM app, be sure to check out, you can just search Detroit Tigers and you will get the Tigers home broadcast on any game. Very, very cool feature. So check that out, the SiriusXM app. Okay, so Andy Ibanez, we talked about, he goes 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs in the home run. And his OPS is now up to 695, almost back over 700. That'd be kind of nice. He just, it's so funny. Like, it's just his approach at the plate is just, and I've said this a million times, but it just really is like the definition of a hot and cold, like streaky hitter. Like, he's going to make his contact. The ball's going to find grass and find the seats a lot of times when he's hot. And it really is like what Jonathan Scope was in 2021. Like, he'll have a month where he just has an 1,000 OPS and then a month where he has an OPS of 400. And you're like, all right, well, I'd like maybe just consistent, like, league average, but I guess I'll take this. What else do we have here? So Jake Rogers, I want to talk about a little bit offensively. He goes 2 for 3 with the 2 RBIs, obviously on the home run and a walk. So on the season now, Jake Rogers has a 740 OPS despite a 191 average. This dude only hits extra base hits, basically. I know he had a single in this game, but like it's he walks a lot, which is great. He gets on base and he has a nice slug, right? Like, the ISO that he has is really, really solid. That's kind of like slug if you take out like singles for what am I even trying to say? For the layman's definition. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. You get what I'm saying though. So it's one of those things where I don't mind that if he's going to be the 7, 8, 9 hitter on this team. I'll take him. He has an above league average OPS right now. Like, it's right at about like high 730, 738, 739 areas, usually where the league average OPS has been throughout this season. Like, he's right at about a league average hitter despite a 191 OPS, just because of all the slugging and walks that he gets. And I'll gladly take that with a dude that provides as much as he does defensively. That's really the point I was trying to get at. Sorry, I fumbled my words there, and it's a hard time getting there. Miguel Cabrera, 2 more hits in this game. 237 average, 645 OPS. It's obviously far below league average, far below what Miguel Cabrera used to be. But I mean, it's certainly better than like the 480 OPS he was rocking there for a little bit at one point in the season. So we'll take it. Jonathan Scope has an RBI, sac fly in this game. Nice to see him just like provide in any capacity. I'll gladly take it. The only other person I really want to talk about, I know we're just kind of jumping around here, but Matt Vierling had a phenomenal game, 3 for 5 with 2 runs scored. He now has a 274 average and an OPS of just a hair under 760. It's an above league average hitter at the moment if you're going by OPS and batting average for that matter. So really nice to see. And like I know that he really struggles defensively in center field, but he provides plus defense when he's in the corners. He provides plus base running. He's one of the fastest players in the league. He's got a pretty solid arm. Like he's just a toolsy dude that like Matt Vierling is the perfect example of someone who a team that has a really good development staff turns Matt Vierling into a pretty darn good ball player. And it's very early. Like, this is his first full season. We're very early in this dude's career. I'm not saying he needs to figure it out all at once and should just like be that immediately. But it's nice to see him take strides. He every time I call him out on something, he seems to slowly improve on it. He hit a fast-ish pitch on the low and inside part of the plate today for a single, turned on it, and he wasn't late on it, pulled it, like, and all that, and it's one of those things where he has so many tools to offer, and I really hope that this development staff is actually trending in the right direction. It's not just like a facade, and that they're able to take players like Vierling and make them pretty solid major league ball players. And I'm hoping that that's what we are seeing right in front of our eyes, because he's been pretty good lately. So 2 thumbs up for Matt Vierling. Torkelson goes 0 for yet again. He does have a walk in this game, however. 218 average, 658 OPS. But really the story of this game it was just the help that they got from the home runs. I mean, if you look at it, 5 of the 7 RBIs were via the home run. It's the ultimate trump card. No matter how bad an offense is struggling on the day, no matter how bad you are with runners in scoring position, it does not matter. If you can hit a homer, you're going to score some runs. And thankfully, they weren't solo shots either. He had some people on base. So good to see. Good job offense. Enough for a win. 7 runs. We'll gladly take that anytime we can get it. Heaney's always kind of been like that too. If you followed Andrew Heaney in his Angels career, he was the guy who all of like the advanced numbers said that he should have been better than he was, but he could never get to that point because he just gave up so much hard contact and so many homers. And a lot of those predictive stats are like, oh, like people that like Sierra was like a big one. We're like, oh, well, there's no way he gives up that many homers again. Like, well, if he gave up a league average home run rate, this would be his ERA. And it's like 3. And you're like, oh, wow, if you can just stop that. But he just never was able to stop it. In Texas, he's been a little better. A little more comfortable elevating the fastball, it seems like, this year. So that'll be I'm very fascinated with Andrew Heaney, and will continue to be throughout the remainder of the season and see how well he does in Texas there. Okay, let's get to our pitching. Matthew Boyd started this ball game and only threw 2/3 of an inning. He recorded 2 outs and he gave up a solo homer. The 2 outs he recorded were strikeouts, which is great. It was like still, even though it wasn't even an inning, it was still a pretty on-brand Matthew Boyd start. You had swings and misses, you had strikeouts, and you had a home run to start off the ball game. Unfortunately, then he would just airmail a pitch like way, way high, and everybody was like, wow, that was, obviously not even close, but he winced immediately. And as he was walking off the field, some people were commenting like he is like, even the way he's walking off the field, like that's not how like a left arm looks when you're just like naturally walking. Like he was really seemed to be in some serious pain. So no update at the time of this recording, which is well after the game. So I'm imagining that by the time you're listening to this, if you're listening in the morning or whatnot, there is still no update. Hopefully there's one in the afternoon. But we're hoping for him to be healthy for a plethora of reasons. But that was definitely a weird start to this ball game. And then Will Vest comes in, throws 1 inning, 1 hit, no walks or runs, strikes out 3 in the 3 batters he faces, and then he gets hurt. And his looked like it was more of a leg injury, a lower body thing, but he has to get pulled from the ball game. And Will Vest has been a pretty big success story out of this bullpen. He's been their favorite reliever to go to, like first out of the pen this year. He's been the opener a lot. They really don't mind going to Will Vest immediately. And so both of those dudes now we're waiting to hear on their current health situation. And for a team that already kind of desperately needs innings out of wherever they can get them, starting rotation, bullpen, etc., to lose two pretty key pieces holding all of this together at the moment would be a pretty big blow. So we'll get into the rest of the game, and we will obviously talk about the implications that this could have right after this. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment of Locked On Tigers. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. So Matthew Boyd, Will Vest are hurt. As far as the bullpen goes, there's a few different ways you can kind of address bullpen if Will Vest does end up being out long term. There's honestly several dudes in Toledo that I kind of like that you can think about going to. But if Matthew Boyd is out for a few starts, it's really unfortunate because, I mean, obviously you just like don't want anyone to get hurt ever. But it's really unfortunate because we are getting Matt Manning back later this week, and like Scooble seems to be close, and like it would just be really frustrating for everybody, Boyd, team, fans, everyone, if like you were just replacing one injured pitcher with another, and like you still then had the same amount of pitchers in your rotation at the end of this. So I'm hoping that he's okay, but it really did not look great. And I am not a doctor, very infamously, but we'll kind of keep an eye on that, and obviously on the show every day we'll give updates as they're given out. But yeah, sucks. And Will Vest again has been one of the more valuable relievers in this entire bullpen. Like, and I can't believe if you would have told me in April that I would have been saying that in June, I wouldn't have believed you. But it's absolutely true. Outside of the two horses at the back end, right, in Lang and Foley, there's an argument Will Vest has been the most valuable reliever on this team with just when they've been going to him in games. So hoping for the best for everybody involved, and an already thin pitching staff has the potential to get even thinner before it gets stronger here. So very unfortunate, but the rest of the game would be a bullpen game. It's been really fascinating how bullpen games throughout this year have, like, they haven't been the Tigers punting games. They've won a lot of bullpen games, and even in the ones they haven't, they've been like competitive. Like they've put together a pretty decent product in those. And I think that there's this misconception that bullpen days are like just like punt days where you're like, oh, you were not expecting to win. I think, and I feel like a beat writer asked this question to AJ, and I feel like he answered it, but I can't remember who it was or what his answer was off the top of his head, off the top of my head, rather. But I feel like AJ loves bullpen days. Like I feel like we give a lot, I do at least, give a lot of credit to AJ for how he manages the bullpen. I think he does a phenomenal job. Very rarely do you hear me come on this show and talk about, I very much voice my frustrations with AJ when I have them, but very, very seldom are they due to bullpen management. And I feel like he just loves playing matchups so much that he kind of, not because of an injury, obviously, but on like a scheduled bullpen day, he kind of like foams at the mouth a little bit. And he's kind of like, I'm like pumped. I'm ready to play the matchups. I'm ready to have this chess game and try and come out on top, and makeshift one kind of on the fly. And he still very much did that. Mason Englert, 2 1/3, 2 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. Very, very on brand Mason Englert start. The strikeout stuff was solid, but gave up a homer. He has like 25 appearances on the year already, and I think he's given up 10 home runs. I think that was the 10th home run he's given up already this season. Like he has a legitimate home run problem, but his ERA, despite that, is still only 4.6, which, like, given the amount of hard contact he's given up, is really not that bad. And he can give you multiple innings, and he has the ability to get big-time strikeouts. We've seen him. Some of the most high-pressure situations of this entire season have been with Mason Englert on the bump, and he's come through a lot of times. So really unique pitcher Mason Englert has been. I still don't think he's like in the top half of the pitchers I would trust in like the highest of high leverage, but he went out there and gave you multiple innings today. Thumbs up for sure. Great job. The biggest thing for him is just finding a major league fastball. And if he can do that, I think he'll take a big step forward, but we haven't really seen that yet so far. Tyler Alexander, 3 innings, 3 hits, no runs, no walks, 4 strikeouts. Tyler Alexander's ERA is down to 4.17 after this outing. And I'm so happy about it. He is so valuable to this team. He does the dominate the strike zone thing better than almost anybody. He is not going to walk anything, right? He does not walk anybody ever, and I love him for it. And he's the only guy that you can really consistently rely on to give you a lot of innings if you need it. I thought he was really good. There was one ball that was hit like 410 foot out. I think there were runners on base too, but it ended up being an out, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. That's kind of his thing. Play for the fly ball, don't walk anybody, and come out on top, and that's what he did in this game. So, just with the slow start he got off to this year, I was genuinely worried like Tyler Alexander just wasn't going to be a part of this team at some point this season, but he has certainly turned it around in a big way and has been, again, very, very valuable to this bullpen. Jason Foley, 1 inning, 2 strikeouts for Foley. Strikeout machine, Jason Foley. I love it. And then Tyler Holton goes on at the end of the game. 1 inning, 1 hit, 2 walks, 1 strikeout, no runs. His ERA is now sub 2. He did load the bases with 2 outs, but got out of it without giving up a run. Tyler Holton, I think, is proving to be a fantastic lefty specialist, which every team needs. But it's just a matter of like, once you get past the lefty specialist part, how much further can you trust him? But AJ has used him so well. He has been a huge pickup. This dude was DFA'd in the winter, I'm pretty sure. And the Tigers, another guy that Scott Harris just like picked up. He now has a sub 2 ERA. He's got a 1.98 ERA on the year and has been really, really good in the situations that AJ has used him in. So thumbs up there. That's pretty much all I got, to be honest with you. Like this was a AJ Hinch masterclass as far as the bullpen goes. I know that everybody again was upset with the lack of Kerry Carpenter in the lineup. I was too. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it and tell you otherwise. I still think, for as much credit as I just gave our manager for how well he manages the bullpens, I think that there's a little bit like trying to big brain the lack of Kerry Carpenter in the lineup every single day currently. And like, look, if he goes out there and he sucks against lefties over a legitimate sample size, then like go away from it, right? I'm not telling you it has to be there no matter what, but like, is Jake Marisnick's defense in center? I guess that was kind of at the end of the game. But like, is the outfield today to start was Matt Vierling, Andy Ibanez, and Eric Haas. Like, is Eric Haas and Andy Ibanez had a great game, obviously, but are the two of them significantly more valuable in the outfield against a lefty than Kerry Carpenter would be? And like Jake Marisnick, if he's getting a start over Kerry Carpenter, is his defense in center field that much more valuable than what the potential that Carpenter can provide at the plate, even if it's against a lefty? And again, if I'm wrong and the answer to that ends up being like, yes, Marisnick like is more valuable, or Eric Haas with a 596 OPS is more valuable, or Andy Ibanez with a 695 OPS is more valuable, then like, so be it. If he can't hit lefties, he can't hit lefties. But I would at least like to give him the opportunity to prove that. And it's just very frustrating that the guy who is comfortably the best hitter on this baseball team right now, it just doesn't even get a chance to prove if he can or can't. So we'll see. In this game, I'm not going to get too hot about it because we won. And the team hit homers and we won pretty comfortably and all that. So not going to get too upset, but something that I continue to be frustrated with. As far as pitching matchups for the rest of the series go, we have Matt Manning going today as you're listening to this. Game 2, he will go up against Martin Perez, who has a 7-3 record and a 4.38 ERA on the year. Matt Manning is back, though. I have no clue if there's like I can't imagine there's like an inning limit or anything like that. because it was a foot injury, not an arm injury. So like we're not like working his arm back up. Like he's been like keeping the arm in shape and everything. So we should be good. It is worth noting in his last rehab start, he only gave up one hit, but he walked to like 4 or 5 batters. So we'll see where the command is at. But very much this, especially if Boyd is hurt, but even if Boyd's healthy, this rotation very much needs some help, needs some innings. Very nice to see Matt Manning back. Can't wait. I still think he's got potential to be a pretty darn good pitcher. Very, very nice fastball Matt Manning has. Can't wait to just start talking about him again. You know, it's been a couple of months since we've even got to break down a Matt Manning start and kind of what I look for in Manning starts. Then on Wednesday, we have Joey Wentz against Dane Dunning. Dane Dunning is 6-1 with a 2.76 ERA on the season. Joey Wentz, we know. And then it sounds like Thursday, the series finale, Reese Olson will pitch again. He obviously just pitched at the Minnesota series. Golly. So those are your pitching matchups for the rest of the series. And there's your episode. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. We'll be back tomorrow, like I said, recapping Game 2, Matt Manning's first start back. Hopefully it's a good one. You set yourself up really, really nicely in a 4-game set, winning Game 1. Really Game 3, that's obviously even more of an advantage, you could argue. But I really like winning Game 1s of series. So sets you up pretty nicely there. Let's go do it again. And yeah, why not us, you know? All right. Have a great Tuesday. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. Hope that I didn't get too close to the mic at some point. I'm sure I did, but again, just give me a few days to adjust to the OG mic that I used when I first got this gig. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch you all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.